Every gardener has faced that sinking feeling, leaving home for a few days or weeks, knowing their beloved potted plants won't survive the absence of daily watering. Long before moisture-retaining gels and fancy irrigation systems existed, people relied on resourceful, low-tech solutions to keep plants alive in harsh or unattended conditions. One of the most effective and almost forgotten among these is a simple biological marvel, the aloe slurry. It's not a modern invention, but a rediscovery of something early horticulturists and travellers used to preserve plants in transport and during dry spells. This natural gel doesn't just hydrate, it sustains life. And once you learn how to make and use it, you'll understand why aloe vera became known as the plant that feeds plants. The secret of the aloe slurry, my dear friends, lies in its natural composition and how it interacts with the soil life. At first glance, aloe vera may seem like just another succulent, but its inner gel contains a rare balance of natural compounds. We have polysaccharides, amino acids, enzymes, and trace minerals, all acting like a slow-release hydration and nutrient system. Quite fascinating, isn't it? Now, when blended into a slurry, these compounds create a semi-liquid matrix that clings to soil particles and plant roots. It forms a living moisture film that not only retains water but also encourages microbial growth. This helps roots continue absorbing even when the surrounding soil begins to dry. Simply marvellous how nature works, wouldn't you agree? You see, what makes aloe so effective isn't just its water content. The gel's polysaccharides are long-chain sugars that bind moisture and release it gradually. This is exactly what keeps the plant itself alive in those harsh desert conditions. And it works the same way when applied to potted plants. Quite remarkable, if I do say so myself. The gel also contains natural salicylic acid, which acts as a mild antibacterial and antifungal agent, preventing root rot that often occurs when plants are overwatered before a long absence. Early plant traders and colonial horticulturists used this property to preserve root cuttings and seedlings during sea voyages, storing them in damp aloe pulp to prevent dehydration and disease. Making aloe slurry correctly determines how effective it will be for your plants. The method is simple, but must be done precisely to retain the gel's biological activity. Start with mature aloe leaves, at least 3 to 4 years old. These older leaves hold more concentrated gel and higher mineral content. Cut them cleanly at the base and let the yellow sap, known as aloin, drain for about 10 minutes. This bitter resin can be mildly irritating to roots, so it's best removed. Once drained, peel away the tough outer skin and collect the clear inner gel. Blend this gel with an equal amount of clean, non-chlorinated water until it forms a smooth, syrup-like consistency. For longer storage, some gardeners add a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar per litre as a natural preservative and mild pH stabilizer. The result should be a cool, viscous slurry. Not too watery, not too thick. This is your living hydration base. Now comes the practical part, application. For potted plants, Pour or mix the slurry directly into the top layer of soil, ensuring it penetrates toward the root zone. In dry environments, it can be used as a root soak by placing the pot in a shallow tray filled with aloe slurry for a few hours, allowing it to wick upward. Once absorbed, the soil retains this moisture network for days, sometimes even weeks, depending on the temperature and, well, the size of the plant. The roots continue drawing from it even after the surface appears dry. Aloe slurry doesn't just water plants. It actually stimulates growth and root resilience. One of the most remarkable effects of aloe slurry is its role as a natural root tonic. The same compounds that heal cuts on human skin also accelerate root regeneration and cellular repair in plants. The enzymes in aloe activate metabolic processes that help roots take in nutrients more efficiently, while the amino acids provide the basic building blocks for new tissue. It's no wonder, really, that early botanists would use aloe gel to revive wilted cuttings or, transplant seedlings with minimal shock. If you're trying to revive a struggling potted plant, applying aloe slurry twice over 2 weeks can, make a noticeable difference. The first application rehydrates the soil and replenishes beneficial microbes. The second triggers fresh root tip growth. For desert plants or succulents, which are, quite frankly, often prone to overwatering, a diluted slurry works perfectly, hydrating without suffocating roots. For tropical houseplants like ferns or philodendrons, it can reduce the frequency of watering dramatically while, improving foliage vibrancy. Historical records show that aloe-based hydration was used centuries before modern fertilizers. Long before aloe was bottled and sold as a cosmetic, it was known in agricultural circles as a soil binder. Colonial-era expedition logs from the 1700s mention its use in transporting botanical specimens across continents. Plant roots were wrapped in cloth soaked in aloe pulp to prevent desiccation during long voyages. In some regions of India and North Africa, aloe gel was mixed into clay or ash before potting to slow evaporation and extend water retention through the dry season. Even in early 20th century survival manuals, soldiers and field botanists carried aloe for wound treatment and used leftover gel for preserving plant samples in desert terrain. What's fascinating is how this ancient technique aligns, really quite perfectly, with modern sustainability principles. The aloe slurry represents a closed-loop solution. It's biodegradable, free, and entirely plant-based. You're recycling one plant's adaptive traits to help another survive. For survivalists, off-grid gardeners, or, anyone maintaining a collection of potted plants during dry or travel periods, this technique is not just practical, it's a lifeline. Applying aloe slurry effectively depends on understanding your environment. To make the most of it, you'll want to adjust concentration and frequency according to climate and plant type. In humid or shaded environments, a lighter dilution prevents excess moisture buildup. But in arid or windy areas, a thicker slurry coats the soil longer and reduces evaporation. So, a good rule of thumb is to apply once every 2 weeks for maintenance or, right before leaving plants unattended. The slurry can also be frozen in small cubes and placed in pots to melt gradually, releasing moisture over time. A clever adaptation, actually, borrowed from explorers who travelled with stored aloe in ice blocks for medical and agricultural use. For long-term sustainability, you can, grow your own aloe supply. One mature aloe plant can produce enough gel for dozens of applications per year. And since it really thrives on neglect, it's the perfect companion for anyone striving toward self-sufficiency. When harvested correctly, it regenerates continuously without exhausting the mother plant. In a time when synthetic solutions dominate even the simplest gardening problems, rediscovering something as pure and functional as aloe slurry feels like reconnecting with forgotten fieldcraft. It's a living example of biomimicry, borrowing nature's own designs to solve our challenges. Whether you're a historian fascinated by the ingenuity of early growers or a modern gardener striving for independence from store-bought products, the aloe slurry stands as proof that survival knowledge never truly dies. It only waits to be remembered. If this deep dive into the aloe slurry's forgotten power inspired you, subscribe to Botanical and share this guide with fellow plant enthusiasts and survivalists. Let's keep rediscovering the ancient techniques that once made gardening not just a pastime, but a craft of endurance and respect for the living world beneath our hands.